Trading at Schwab is now powered by Ameritrade, giving you even more specialized support than ever before. Like access to the trade desk, our team of passionate traders ready to tackle anything from the most complex trading questions to a simple strategy gut check. Need assistance? No problem. Get 24/7 professional answers and live help, and access support by phone, email, and in-platform chat. That's how Schwab is here for you, to help you trade brilliantly. Learn more at schwab.com/trading.
With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Today, we are talking about a case that hits hard, not just because of the mystery surrounding it, but because of what it says about how society treats missing people, especially when their lives don't fit the perfect mold. This is the story of Andrea Knabel, a mother, a sister, a friend, and an advocate for the missing who went missing herself. Welcome to Like Mother, Like Murder. I am Rachel.
And I'm Heather.
We bring you the good,
the badass,
and the crime.
This is Like Mother, Like Murder.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Like Mother, Like Murder. I am one of your hostess with the mostest, Rachel.
And I am Heather, your other hostess with the mostest. And every week, we bring you the mostest. The mostest true crime, all mom related, moms who murdered moms, missing moms, survivors, and much, much more.
It is actually so nice to be recording with you.
I know.
Was it the past 2 episodes that we were not together, or was there one in between it? I don't even remember. Because you recorded
Oh my God,
with
I think
Zach.
you're right. I think I recorded with Zach, and then you recorded with Kentucky.
Yes.
And this is the first time, oh my gosh.
Well, you guys, you're welcome. We are back together. It is absolutely amazing, and I'm so happy to be sitting with you today. It doesn't feel like that, of course, but still, I'm like, wow, I think for them it was 2 weeks. So before we get into things today, we have some housekeeping that we need to discuss, some sweeping and window cleaning, if you will. But we are coming up on our 3-year podiversary. So with that said, we are actually going to be taking the first 2 weeks of July off. Kind of, not really, but we will not be doing the work, is what I'm going to be saying, is we are going to have 2 guest hosts come on and tell us a story. It's going to be like a guest host takeover, if you will. They'll tell the stories. We will be on it, because I know that sometimes we've shared episodes of other people. We're not doing that. We still want to be here and be on the mic with them, but stay tuned for that. So that will be whatever the first 2 weeks in July, because on July 15th, we'll be back with year 3.
Oh my God. It's awesome. I'm so excited. Who were we talking to just recently about this? Alicia from Twisted and Uncorked, about how we are coming up on 3 years. 3 years. I should say we were actually recording. I'm so used to saying Twisted and Uncorked. We were actually recording for Truly Twisted for her. Yes. And it was a great episode. Both of us got heated. Oh my God. But we were talking about how, oh my God, it's been 3 years. That's so crazy. It went by so fast.
It did go by fast. It's kind of insane. So with us taking it off, though, our social medias will be a little darker than usual. And then we will come back on July 15th. A couple other things that we need to talk about is we are participating again in the You Should Be Here series, and Death Not Yet will be coming out the beginning of July. So if you are not already following that series, You Should Be Here, go find it wherever you're listening to your podcast right now. Add it to your playlist. You could catch up on the Homicide Tree and or No. We both participated in both of those as well. And Death Not Yet is their Survivor series.
Mm-hmm. So if you like a good Survivor story, which we do, we love a good Survivor story here at Like Mother Like Murder. And you know, it's one of those things where it's nice because it's kind of like spoiler alerty. It's a Survivor series, so you know that at least, you know, people survive, but it's important also to really these stories are going to rock your world. These some of these are stories, you know, if you've been listening to true crime, you've known them, you've heard them. It'll just be nice to. I always enjoy listening to it from other people's perspectives,
Yes.
and kind of because people will focus on different details, right? But there are some that are like the one that I covered. I had never heard of before. It doesn't have like a huge national coverage. It was more local, but it's crazy. And so these survivors, they are just worth the listen. And of course, like everything else from the You Should Be Here, it is all the podcasters involved are donating their time, and any revenue made from the series will be donated back to a nonprofit that goes towards, you know, whatever the theme is of that series. So we're excited to be contributing again, and knowing that, you know, hopefully sharing these stories and, you know, highlighting these amazing people who have survived some of the literal worst things in the world and been able to thrive afterwards. And then, you know, it goes to a good cause. So we're happy to be a part of it.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, the last thing before we do this, right, is we are also attending. So together we will be attending CrimeCon in Denver in September. And I will be sadly going. No, I'm just kidding. I will be going
for you.
I'm not sad because I will be there with other friends
Yeah.
and other amazing, amazing creators. But I'll be in Boston for True Crime Podcast Festival as well. And I will be connected tables with Jules doing, you know, promoting for Missing in Hushtown, and she'll be doing her True Crime and Headlines, Fire Eyes Media, and I will have Like Mother Like Murder and Momcast Productions. So that's very exciting. And then when we go to CrimeCon, we will be going as guests. As of right now, unless they change that.
Yeah. Like, we're open, CrimeCon.
You can only
give us a booth.
Let us know. We're still available and we can make anything work. But yeah, we will be there. And so we are eagerly awaiting both of those things. So excited. So just honored and grateful to be able to be doing those things, to share cases that we have worked on so much. Like, I don't know if I've said this on the podcast, but I will be there as a poster board for filicide at this point. That is the main thing that I will be doing at both of these events, is I will be sharing as much information with anyone who looks in my direction whatsoever about Hope Mater and Brandy Morey Poles and their children who lost their lives to filicide. So that is what I will be doing there.
Yeah.
So Heather, before we get into the episode, since it has been, 2 weeks since we've been together, is there anything that you need to update or you need to say or share with anybody?
Not particularly. I'm just very excited. We have some crazy summer plans. Like,
yes,
we've got like shit going down this summer.
Love it.
And I'm excited to see all of that kind of come to the forefront. We've been working in the background on a lot of things, and it's exciting to like get towards that time. I'm super excited for CrimeCon. I'm super excited for you to go to Boston, and it's all going to be good. So now's the time. If you're not already on this Like Mother, Like Murder bandwagon, jump on, subscribe, and get ready, because there's going to be some great stuff coming your way with all of the events going on.
Love it. Love it. All right, let's do it. Andrea Michelle Knabel was born January 7th, 1982, to Cheryl and Mike Knabel. She was the oldest of 3 sisters and often felt like the outsider in the family. Although she saw herself as the black sheep, she had a close bond with her middle sister, Erin, but her relationship with the younger sister, Sarah, was tense to say the least, especially around the time that Andrea disappeared. Growing up, Andrea was described as having to look out for her younger sisters and being referred to as Mama Andrea. She grew up pretty quickly and was self-equipped with street smarts and common sense from a very young age. Andrea grew up and she ended up attending the University of Louisville and earned a marketing degree. After she left college, she had landed a pretty good job and worked as an analyst at Humana.
At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability, ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Another thing, the reason we are sharing Andrea's story here on Like Mother, Like Murder is she was also a single mom to 2 boys who miss her so much, and it's so important that we keep sharing Andrea's information. Andrea had a big heart. People say she was always the one taking care of others, even when she needed help herself. Her life started to take a turn after she lost her job at Humana. This was kind of like when things started to unravel for Andrea in certain areas of her life. One thing that did come naturally, something she thoroughly enjoyed from all accounts, was she began working for a nonprofit called Missing in America, which helps find missing people. The irony behind that is heartbreaking.
Yeah, that's insane.
Did you watch the documentary Finding Andrea?
I haven't. No.
Okay. Because I know we have discussed this, you guys, and we've also recorded this, and this is round 2. It was not good enough, so we are trying again.
Only the best.
Yes. This actually started after one of her friends went missing, and she had started to help spread awareness and take action in her friend's missing persons case. And so the creator and founder of Missing in America saw Andrea's strengths in this line of work, and she asked her to join the team. Another thing Andrea was doing was driving for rideshare services to make ends meet. But things got worse when her car was totaled in a hit and run. She had actually broken down on the side of the road, and she had to leave her vehicle there overnight. When she returned the next morning to get it, her vehicle had been hit by another car and pushed into a ditch.
Ugh, that's heartbreaking. You can see how that would just, you lost your job, your stable job, at Humana. You are a single mom. You are hustling. You're out there, you're working, and now you've lost your only means of making money. Like, that sucks. That's heartbreaking.
It really is. And with all of these sudden struggles, the one thing after another, like you just said, and nowhere else to go, she ended up moving into her mom's house. Her mom, Cheryl, she moved into her house, which was currently, at the time that she moved there, under renovation. And she lived there with her 2 sons, her sister, Sarah, and Sarah's boyfriend, Ethan.
Okay.
I mentioned at the beginning that her and Sarah, they didn't always have the best relationship. And let's just say at this time, tensions were very high in this home. Family stress, money problems, and then there was also the whispers of drug use going around. So this time in Andrea's life was unfortunately a rough time for her. And during all of this, in August of 2019, Andrea disappeared. I'm going to take you through the timeline of events of the evening of August 12th and then the late night leading into the early morning of August 13th. This is when Andrea was last seen. Okay. So the evening of August 12th, Cheryl, the mom, she brought over Chinese food and she actually confronted rather than sat down and had a conversation, because from what I have heard so far, it was a very direct and firm conversation that happened about Andrea's life decisions and the possible drug use. Andrea, she had gotten very, very frustrated with this conversation. She felt attacked, which, like I said, it seemed that was kind of the direction that it was headed. And she ended up leaving with Ethan and one of her nephews to go get McDonald's. After they got McDonald's, Ethan drove Andrea to one of the local hospitals for a rash that Andrea had on her face. I've mentioned the possible use of drugs, and she had these rashes that were showing up on her skin that she needed to go into, and she had gone into previously to get treated as well. So he took her there, he dropped her off, and they actually gave her, it was like I didn't even know these things existed, but it's like a card that you can use for an Uber.
Oh, yeah, like a voucher, like a Uber voucher. Okay, so that she could get back home. So they gave her one of those.
Yes.
Okay.
Because he just dropped her off, he went back home, and I guess the voucher didn't work. Oh. And so she had to use her own money, and she was already like crap, low on funds. So it was like one of those things that had just started. Her day was not going good.
Right.
When she returned to the house, it only got worse when she couldn't get into the home. So she shows up to her mom's house. She doesn't have a key, and the information on that kind of goes back and forth. There's some sources that say maybe she never had a key, and there's some sources that say that sometimes they changed the locks on her because they wanted to know when she was coming and going. Mm-hmm. So there is, unfortunately, some unknown still in Andrea's story. But one of the things that is known is it is said, I shouldn't say it is known, but it is said she did not get into the house. And at this point, she didn't, because she ended up walking to her sister Erin's house, which was 1 mile away.
Okay.
This was, I want to say around like 1 a.m. that she walked to Erin's house. She gets there. Erin talks with her. Erin tries to calm her down. Andrea's kind of telling her and venting to her about the evening that she had with her mom and the conversation that they had. And Erin drives Andrea back to the house. She drops her off, and at this time, Erin leaves. Well, again, Andrea cannot get into the house. She's stuck outside. So she turns around and walks back to Erin's house. 2 times in one night, she walks to Erin's house.
Oh my gosh.
And Erin, once again, turned her sister away. Yeah. And one of the things that has came out, and I'll talk about it a little bit later, but Erin is a huge advocate for her sister. She is constantly trying to find answers to help with search efforts and raise awareness in her sister's disappearance. And at this time, she had to set these boundaries in her life and in her children's life and in her family's life against, I don't want to, the word against is really, really negative, but for her family and for Andrea, ultimately.
I get that, totally.
Yeah. So
that's,
Andrea,
like, those boundaries really show, I know it seems counterintuitive, but they really show the love you have for somebody, because you are willing to, I still want you in my life, regardless of what's happening, and I want you here, but, like, I have to have a boundary.
Right.
So it's like if she just straight up didn't care, it'd be like, I don't like it, just like she wouldn't like just get out, like, you know.
Yeah.
But setting boundaries with someone is a healthy behavior that is ultimately better for a relationship.
Yeah, it shows the support.
Yes,
that
100%.
you are still there and you are helping in a way.
Yeah, for sure.
So after Aaron would not let her in her home, Andrea sat outside of her home for a while, scrolling on her phone. Aaron said that she could see her through the window, that she didn't seem upset anymore. She didn't seem erratic. She wasn't pacing or, upset. Okay. And then she walked off. It was believed that she walked back to her mom's house. The last person to have ever seen Andrea, allegedly, supposedly, is Aaron when she saw her walking from the house. And that was at about 2 a.m. I was going to ask. A little bit before 2 that she walked away.
So it's been like an hour that she's gotten home from the hospital, has been locked out of the house, has been going back and forth from Aaron's house, and the last time she was actually seen was around 2 a.m. by Aaron.
Yes.
Okay.
And no one has said that they've seen her, but her phone does ping in and around the mother's house.
Okay.
Kind of showing people or making people believe that she did get back home.
Yeah.
And that she wasn't let back in, or they were sleeping, or they intentionally didn't let her back in. We still do not know. And that conversation has actually changed because Sarah and Ethan have said things from they heard her knocking and they didn't open the door. And they have said that they were asleep and never heard her knocking. So that story
both times, or like their stories just changed?
Not to both times, just I don't think it was in reference to the either time, like as if they heard her the first time and didn't let her in, and then the second time they were asleep. I think that it was just about her showing up.
Okay, that was my question. I'm like, wait a second. Okay, so their stories have literally changed.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And so she ended up being reported missing by her sister Erin, and then the investigation began. Like I said, she was someone who once helped search for others who were missing, was now being searched for herself. So a couple things that we know that came out of the investigation were having to do with phones, Andrea's and others. So her phone showed activity until 6:31 in the morning on August 13th. The location data that was used through a GPS tracking system that Missing in America actually made all of their people that worked for them use is how they kind of were able to get this timeline with her phone. So even though Erin had mentioned that she went back and forth and stuff like that, it is really this timeline that they got from this GPS tracking system that showed where she went each time. And so it shows that her phone was back and pinged in the area of her mother's house around 2 a.m, and that it was there and active until 6:31. Andrea tried calling multiple people for help that night. That was given by other people, after the fact, saying like she did call me, she did reach out, she did text me. And one of them, Andrea had actually Facebook called a coworker / friend, someone who she worked with for Missing in America. Her name was Suzette, and that phone call was at 2:12 in the morning. She didn't answer that phone call, but she immediately wrote her back saying like, hey, what's up, or what's going on? And Andrea never responded to her. Another really bizarre thing when it comes to phones is that both Sarah and Ethan's phones were wiped clean the morning Andrea disappeared. Just an extremely odd thing, in my opinion.
There are no coincidences. We say this all the time. So not only did your story change, but now you've also wiped your phone clean.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it really doesn't add up to me.
No.
But a lot of things don't add up to me, and the fact that Andrea is still missing today, we get nowhere closer. So it's a bummer, and I'm kind of, not spoiler alert, but I've already said she's still missing.
Right.
And as I go through all of these things, because there's more, Heather and everyone, that is surely going to piss you off. Something that seemed very evident in my research of Andrea's case is that it seemed her family was struggling with the thought of Andrea abusing drugs. And this wasn't her normal behavior to be taking drugs. It wasn't something she struggled with throughout her life and went back and forth with. And so her family members were trying to find a balance of support and help, but also, like I mentioned, setting the boundaries for themselves. Mm-hmm. Some information that has came up, and I will say, take everything with a grain of salt. These things I'm about to talk about are alleged and theories, because if there were facts or concrete evidence and some of it, maybe we would have, more information
answers,
or possibly Andrea by now. Some of the criminal and behavioral theories are that Andrea's fiance, previously he was arrested for meth distribution. Okay. And after he was arrested, it is believed or alleged that Andrea began using and possibly dealing meth herself once he got locked up, as if she just took over his business.
How long have they been together?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay. But they were, he was her fiance?
He was her fiance when he went to jail.
Got you.
It was not her youngest father.
Okay.
So it would have had to be a new man, because both of the children were with their fathers.
Dad. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And so they couldn't have been with him if he was in jail. So that is not him. But yeah, so it's one of those things that if that is true and she started to take things over, it got maybe too deep and something happened because of it. In the documentary, Finding Andrea, which will be sourced in the show notes, they talk about this counterfeit $100 bill that they find in one of her storage units. And so the thought was that maybe she was using counterfeit money for certain dealings.
Okay.
Or maybe someone paid her with counterfeit money and she was going to have to show whoever she was dealing for that she got scammed.
Right.
So it's just one of those things where you really just don't know. And then, of course, there is her nonprofit work with Missing in America. And some of the cases that they were looking into may have been a bit more risky or dangerous. It's said by some of the other Missing in America workers. So in the documentary, which is one of the big sources that I used for this, they talk about the fact that they had to stop working on certain cases because of how dangerous they were. They didn't want to put any of their colleagues in danger. So was there a way that Andrea may have been mixing her alleged potential drug dealing business and looking into these cases at the same time?
Oh, shit. That's scary.
It is. It's very scary. There's more that I'm about to talk about that kind of when someone goes missing, you really do look in every single direction, and you want to create this web of theories and this web of, information to find answers.
Yeah,
And
you
so
have
far,
to follow.
there has been no answers, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of theories.
Well, it's hard because it's having multiple theories, right, is good because it means you're allowing yourself to think outside the box. We've seen cases, right, where they stick to the one theory and that's the only theory they stick to, and that leads to them never finding the person or finding the person way too late. So having multiple theories means, okay, I'm keeping my mind open, but it also means it's harder to zero in on one, right? Because you have so many options.
Right.
That's,
Yep.
Yeah, you can see how that makes it a much more layered and complicated case.
And we see, not saying that this is the case whatsoever with Andrea, but we see a lot of times cases that they fixate on a specific theory, and it creates this, the possibility of missing the other things that are happening,
100%,
right?
right?
Yeah. You get blinded and you've got to start over. So a few other concerning theories that come out are a physical altercation with Sarah and Andrea. So they actually got into a fight on August 12th, the night that she was locked out of the house. Maybe not a fight. It is said that Sarah punched Andrea in the face.
Oh, shit. So definitely
that sounds
physical.
like a fight to me, but
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Maybe not a back and forth fight, but definitely physical blows.
And it might have been, but there's really no way to kind of corroborate everything that happened with the he said, she said. And also the fact that we see stories change, and therefore how credible is what you're saying, right? But it is said that there was this physical altercation between the two of them that night. And very quickly after Andrea had went missing, one of the women from Missing in America, she visited the home. And this woman, she's a clairvoyant. She visited the home, and when she was there, she felt this overwhelming pain in Andrea's room. And that she said she could feel it when she was walking up the stairs. She felt just this really, really heavy pain come over her body. And that when she went into the bedroom, she saw a suspicious head-shaped hole in the wall.
What?
Yes. And she reported this, but listen, this house was actually under renovation. And I know I mentioned it earlier, but I didn't elaborate on it. So the mom, she owned this home, and she wasn't living in the home at the time because of it being under renovation and construction.
Okay.
And the boyfriend, so Sarah's boyfriend, worked for a reno company, and he was the one, they were living there to kind of take care of all of that.
Okay.
So with this house being under renovation at this time, when the police went there, they said that they saw nothing of the sorts. So could it have already been patched up or fixed by the time that they came?
Yeah.
Did she really see this?
Yeah.
There is no way to say yes or no.
Ugh, I don't like that though.
Yeah. And there's no public confirmation or denial of from the police whatsoever on these claims.
Oh, I don't like that.
No. But it just goes back to the fact that a fight in the house,
Yeah.
Andrea not being able to get in,
Yeah.
phones wiped clean, it's just a lot to think about.
Changing stories. Yeah.
I want to talk about her involvement with Missing in America for a moment. I mentioned earlier she started after one of her own friends went missing. She hadn't been working with them for too long, but it had been a couple of years. And some of the people in her life didn't even know that she had any involvement with Missing in America. So that brings me to a quote that was said in the documentary that I want to, tell you. She was described as a chameleon, being capable of switching between her professional life and her, quote, street life. And so if she was capable of that, what else could we possibly be missing, And I only bring this up because no matter what someone is going through in their life, they deserve to be found.
Yeah.
Their families deserve to see the same fight and investigation for their loved one as anyone else's loved one. But a chameleon makes me think that there could be so many other, colorful layers that haven't even been looked into.
Right.
And it makes my brain go absolutely crazy.
Yikes. It does make it harder because she clearly has been, living more than one life, so to speak. She,
right.
Like you said, the drug habit is new. It wasn't something that she grew up, dealing with. People didn't know that she had this entire, Missing in America thing. And then, you hear about someone who is dedicating time and, their efforts towards something like that. And then they're also getting locked out of their house. I mean, maybe that had nothing to do with her and everything to do with, her sister and the sister's boyfriend. But at the same time, that's a lot of different sides of a person.
It really is. And I mean, I don't want to sit here and point fingers. There's so many things that we've talked about that do make me question the sister. But I mean, if they got in a fist fight, I would also be like, hey, you need to stay somewhere else tonight. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I could absolutely see that. Like, I'm sorry, like, he's going to take you over there, and then you need to find a ride elsewhere.
Fair. Yeah.
So I can see that as well. After her disappearance, just a few months later, Erin, the sister, and Andrea's father, Mike, saw a gold Chevy Impala driving repeatedly in front of Erin's house.
Yikes.
Yeah, yikes for many reasons. First of all, I am one of the most, I want to use the word aware, but it might be paranoid. It's like a mixture of the two.
It skirts that line.
Yes, it really, really does. Depends on how I'm feeling in that day. I'm a very aware, paranoid person. And so if I saw a vehicle coming up and down my street, I'm
100%.
instantly triggered. I find it even crazier because she lived at Cheryl's house at the time of her disappearance. So why would they be going in front of Erin's house? And so this is looked into because Mike, he actually ran out of the house at one point to try to like get more information on the Chevy Impala, which he was able to do. He was able to get the license plate and he turned it in. And it's ridiculous to find out that this car was a stolen vehicle. When they ran the plate, it was registered as a reported stolen vehicle, and that a known drug supplier in the area reportedly drove a similar car.
That is, there are just like way too many quote unquote coincidences happening in this story. There's a lot going on.
There really is.
Shit.
And that theory right there could be, is that an intimidation tactic?
Right. That's my thought.
To shut your mouth? Is that, are they looking for Andrea themselves? Or themselves? Or maybe it was unrelated. But either way, it's suspicious.
It can't be unrelated if someone's literally driving up and down your house. Like, it's got to be, like, I mean, there's obviously something going on there.
I agree 100%. So another really crazy thing that happened, amongst how you just said there's so many coincidences and so many crazy things in Finding Andrea. You guys, I keep talking about Finding Andrea. You really have to just go watch this documentary to get all of this information. But one of the private investigators, so there are certain people that start working on Andrea's case because of the fact that she worked with a Missing in America organization, right?
Yeah.
So immediately people are jumping to action. And they actually had a PI who he volunteered to, do a bunch of stuff. And then there were also other people on the case. And in this documentary, one of the guys, I do not have his name for you guys, they are trying to reach out to him. They are trying to contact him. They are trying to get a hold of him. And it's one of those whole run around oh, I'll get back to you, or I'll reach out to you soon, those kind of things. And the reason they're trying to get a hold of them or him is because he had the initial case file from the beginning and they wanted that information. He was supposed to be working alongside of them. And all of a sudden, he reaches out to the other private investigator to let him know that his entire building, where he worked and where his files and his computers and all of his information was, went up in flames. Just completely burned. And there was no files, nothing that they could kind of recover or anything whatsoever. How? How?
So a guy who worked with Missing in America was helping with her case.
He didn't work for Missing in America.
Oh, he worked.
Didn't. Yeah, he was a different person working on her case.
And
it was the Missing in America people. Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
No. That.
But in this documentary, you see them trying to make the phone calls, you see them trying to reach out, and then he takes you, you see the guy, he takes you to the building and is it's right here, it burned, whatever. And I'm
that seems suspicious because it's you were trying to avoid them, and now all of a sudden your building goes up in flames and you have none of the evidence that they've been asking for. That's crazy.
That is absolutely crazy. This whole thing, every single thing is bizarre.
Yeah.
And then the last kind of theory that I am going to throw out there that has been discussed is the theory of trafficking. A woman claiming to be a trafficking victim herself reached out to the family. She claimed that Andrea was lured to a party, she was drugged, and then she was murdered for resisting trafficking. She mentioned as well, and this was to the family, by the way. This
So
person
not
came,
even to police?
This person came to the family because she found her on the Facebook page that Aaron had created.
Okay.
Of course, this information was given to the police, but it's like she reached out in that manner. She mentions that a corrections officer was also involved and that that's why it was hush-hush and hidden.
Ugh, I hate that. I'm going back and forth on that one because it's like, it is not outside the realm of possibility.
Right.
We know this. And it makes it even more, in my mind, like, believable that it hasn't, you know, the investigation hasn't gone anywhere. They haven't been able to pull, if someone in law enforcement was involved, because we've seen that a million times. But also, it's like, were the police able to verify?
No, the investigators, they labeled this as it was false, and there was no evidence that has proven or disproven it whatsoever.
That's what's so hard is like, okay, is it that way because there's a corrections officer involved, and so it's like, oh, hide it? Or is it that way because this girl who reached out to the family is just, unfortunately, we see this all the freaking time.
Right.
We see this all the time. People reaching out, giving false leads to family. It's so shitty, like, as a person. But it's like, but what if it's true? Like, it's all bad. Oh, my God.
Like, how many? It's as if every single thing that I have talked about has been, it's like, I don't even know the right way to explain it. As if every theory is something that has been the biggest theory in every other case.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Like that was the case.
Her
in this
case
one.
has every
that
other
was the
case in it.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Like every time you mention a new theory, I'm like, oh, that reminds me of this.
Exactly.
That reminds me of this. That reminds me of this one. That's so, and the fact that it's so connected because she was involved in missing in America. Like that's
right.
Oh my gosh. How have I never heard of this case before? Tragic.
Well, let me tell you a couple more things about that. So we are wrapping up. I want to tell you guys how you can help, okay? So Andrea's sister, Erin, she created a Facebook page to raise awareness, and she continues to share information about Andrea's case and others constantly. She has become a very, very big advocate for missing persons cases and sharing it and spreading that information. Andrea's father, Mike, has been as involved as possible from the very beginning, and he was actually personally investigating leads that were not being looked into.
Get it, Mike?
So he was the one going out there, and that is very scary. That is very dangerous, you know?
Yeah.
But he's going to do what he has to do. That's who he is as a person, and he has never stopped fighting to, you know, raise awareness for his daughter. Both of them remain committed to finding Andrea and keeping her story alive, as well as many others, like I said. So we need to help them. We're sharing Andrea's story to reach all of you listening so that you can help us be alert, know her face, know her name, know her story, and help us share it so that others can also know all about Andrea's story. There's powers in number. There's powers in sharing. And we say it all the time that someone knows something.
Yep.
Someone knows something. Someone is aware of what happened or where she is or anything at all that could help. So we need that information to be spread like wildflower, like a wildflower.
And a wildfire.
Exactly. Until we have the answers. And until we have Andrea.
Yeah. It's crazy because as you're saying that, like, as someone knows something, this case has so many, like, webs. We've talked about, like, the webs that means that there are multiple people. Like, you were saying she made phone calls that night. Obviously, that night, there's, like, 3 people at any given time who like knew where her location. She has a location on her phone, like, and then you have all these theories with the connections to Missing in America, with the connections to her fiance, with like there's so many that there's somebody knows exactly what happened, and that person needs to step up.
Yeah. Going back, you bring up the phone again, and again, it's just crazy that it was active till 6:31 and it never showed a ping anywhere else. Like, that is crazy to me. The phone was never found, like, ever. So it's all insane. Ugh. So there's a lot of major concerns and systematic failures when she disappeared. Maybe that was because of the presumed thoughts of drugs or runaway or whatever reasoning they had. But whatever it is absolute bullshit.
Yeah.
It needs to change.
Yeah.
This is going to piss you off, but Andrea's disappearance was not mentioned in the local community newsletters when she first went missing. So her neighborhood, where her mom's house was, is a very affluent and image-conscious area, Audubon Park, and they have this newsletter to share information. They never shared that she was a missing person from that neighborhood. They decided to leave that out, like, make that make sense.
That is so annoying because it's just what we've talked about this all the time, regardless of your status, a diagnosis, regardless of the circumstances in which you went missing, or you deserve all of, and it that hurts me that you say that, because we have seen communities fucking rally.
Oh yes.
Rally around people, and the community is responsible for finding that person and bringing them home. And it breaks my heart that this community, someone from their community, they were just like, oh no. What if that was your daughter? What if that was your sister? Like, come on, people. Like, that's not cool. Ugh.
It's really not. It's not. Andrea is still missing. It's been over 5 years now, and her disappearance is still unresolved with so many layers. And how you said it, webs. Her case reflects broader issues with media bias, policing, and how society values some lives over others. And Andrea deserves justice, closure, and continued awareness. Her family deserves to have Andrea home and know what happened in any capacity. And Andrea's boys deserve to have their mom back. If you have any information on the whereabouts or the disappearance of Andrea Knabel, please contact the Louisville Metro Police Department at 502-574-7120 or contact the Family Tip Line at 502-806-4840. Please, you guys, go and follow the Facebook page. It's called Where is Andrea Knabel? And you can also follow Andrea's sister's page, which is just her name, Erin Knabel, because she is constantly sharing stuff there as well. There is a reward currently, and the last that I saw it was at $10,000. So if you guys have any information, please come forward. You can also do it anonymously if you need to. But the point is, come forward and help this family out. I hope we see resolution in Andrea's case someday soon. This has been far too long, and it just breaks my heart for her boys and her family.
For sure. And that's what you have to, and that's the other thing that pisses me off about a community not rallying. Like, you're not even, like, even if you think, this is not okay, and I don't think people should think this, but even if you think like, oh no, she was just, she was on drugs and she probably ran away. No. Okay, regardless of how you feel, there are 2 boys right now living in this world without their mom. Should it, like, you need to care. Like, you need to care.
Yeah.
I mean, you shouldn't think like of that way anyway. Like, she's still a person who deserves, care. But, like, especially too, she's a mom.
Right.
Like, that's just heartbreaking.
It is. It really, really is. So you guys, please go share all of that information. Join those pages. Do what you can. Keep sharing her name. Keep saying her name. It's sad how you're like, No, I haven't heard of this. The amount of cases we start to talk about and cover that we're like, how have we not heard of this? We literally cover mom-related cases constantly.
I know.
And I've known of Andrea's case for a very long time. I've planned on bringing it. It is local to my area-ish, local-ish to my area. And another thing that is just so heartbreaking is whenever a body is recovered, you know, these families, every family just breaks internally. And also, I'm sure, I don't want to say there's any hope, because you hope it's not your loved one, so that you can have that prayer that they are coming home to you. But also the resolve portion of it, and knowing that once the answer comes out, this body being found, and once it's identified, is going to help someone have answers. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, totally.
So,
and I think, like, what you were saying, it's crazy because it just goes to show, like, we obviously were aware of true crime, but we still come across these cases that never got local coverage, even national coverage, you know? And so that's why we continue to do what we do, because there's always going to be those cases that just need their voice to continue. And I think it's interesting that we started with, you know, knowing that this is the cases we want to cover. And then as we've grown, we're like, no, we need to find those cases that need that voice to keep going.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that you especially because you're very good at finding that local coverage and understanding that, you know, it's really there's a difference when you've got local people from a community being able to be like, this is how this is impacting us. So
yeah. Yep.
Wow, Rachel, great job. That's a lot of theories. That's a very, very twisted web. And my heart just goes out to those boys and to Aaron and Mike. And I just hope, you know, for the best for that. And like Rachel said, you know, if you see something, say something, someone definitely knows something about what happened. And it's way past time to come forward with that. So
it absolutely is. It absolutely is. All right. We will talk to you guys next Tuesday. Maybe we'll be here for any missing moment. We shall see. You know, those are few and far between at this moment. Not true. I do try to get it out as much as possible.
You're consistent.
We have been
I'm bad.
busy. We have been so busy. But that's okay. That is life, and we are here. And we are here together. So that also made my heart very happy. All right. Talk to you guys next week. Okay, love you. Bye.
Okay, love you. Bye.